everybody. Today we're going to talk about the types of government, and the two main types that we're going to focus on are autocracy and democracy. And we're going to explain more about what those are as we go through the presentation. First thing I want you to do is copy your essential question into your interactive notebook. The question is, what is the difference between autocratic government and democratic government? By the end of the lesson, you should be able to answer this question. So, what is a government? A government is a group with the power to make laws, enforce those laws, and interpret the laws when disagreements arise. In other words, the government is a group who makes the laws, sees that the laws are followed, and makes decisions when there are disagreements about what the law means. How do we know what type of government a country has? Well, one of the questions is who gets to participate? That's the key question for determining what kind of government a country has. And the three questions we answer to get the answer to who gets to participate is, are citizens allowed to vote? Are citizens allowed to run for political office? Are citizens free to speak out with their ideas and opinions without fear of punishment? The answers to these questions help us determine whether the government is more autocratic or democratic. The more no questions, the more no answers you have here, the more autocratic your government. The more yes answers you have here, the more democratic your government. If you have questions, please message them to me. So when we're talking about an autocracy, we're talking about a government where the leader has all the power. You see this lady, she's wielding a big stick and keeping all her little people here in line. She's making them do what she wants them to do. She's in control. Same here. You see the voice of the big man saying, you will do what I want you to do. You will do as you are told. And finally, the statement that you would hear from an autocratic leader is, I'm in control. They are the person who has all the power. They make all the decisions for the country. So, a definition for an autocracy or an autocratic government is a government where political authority is held by a single leader. One person is in control or has all the power. So, what is citizen participation like in an autocracy? Citizens have little or no opportunity to participate in the government. They don't get a say. They don't have the right to vote. Sometimes they're allowed to vote, but when they get to the voting poll, there's only one person on the ballot, and that's the same person who's been there for 50 years. Citizens' rights and freedoms are unprotected by the law. They can be taken away or limited at any time, and there's nothing they can do about it. Citizens may have little or no access to information other than from government sources. For example, TV, internet, and social media may be banned or tightly controlled. So citizens don't have a lot of rights or a lot of freedoms in an autocracy. So there are some silenced voices in an autocracy. Again, the definition is one ruler or a single political party holds unlimited power. Excuse me. Dictators rule by force and do not give up power without war or violence. Rule by force means that they will do whatever they have to do to keep their people compliant, to keep them following the rules that they've set. If you don't comply with the rules in an autocracy, it can get ugly for you really fast. Censorship is common. And censorship is when you limit what people can see, hear, or say on the media. One example that was in the news recently is that China has banned Winnie the Pooh books in movies. I'm not sure what their reasons are. If you want to know more about that, you can certainly look it up. But that is one example. People are not allowed to express their ideas and opinions freely. If they do, they can be thrown in jail, fined, or even killed for speaking out against the government. You are not allowed to criticize your government. Here in the United States, it's okay if we say, I don't like what President so-and-so did, or I disagree with President so-and-so, or I think we need a new president. We have the right to say all those things, and we're protected by our Constitution. People in an autocracy are not protected by anything. And they don't want people to complain and get up a groundswell of resentment against them, because that might turn into a rebellion, which might lead to them losing power. So it's very important that they stay in control. So there are a couple benefits and drawbacks of being in an autocracy. First, because one person is in control, decisions can be made quickly and efficiently. That's a benefit. The drawback is that the needs of citizens can be ignored, and citizens may lack many things that they need. Poor or selfish decisions made by the leader can hurt the citizens. So in the long run, there are more drawbacks than there are benefits. So how is power granted? In an autocracy, the power to rule is usually inherited or passed down in the family. This usually goes from father to son, but sometimes it goes from mother to daughter. Power can also be gained by military force, just coming in and taking over a country and placing yourself in the leadership role. There are two main types of autocracies: a dictatorship and an absolute monarchy. In a dictatorship, the leader uses force to control the citizens. An example of this is Hitler during the Holocaust. There is no constitution to protect the people. The second one is an absolute monarchy. The monarch, the king or queen, has absolute power over the people, and there is no constitution to protect the citizens. Now, there's another type of monarchy that's called a constitutional monarchy, and it's entirely different. But we're not going to talk about that one right now. I just wanted to let you know there is another kind. Now, in a democracy or a democratic government, the political authority or the power is held by the people or the citizens. This can also be stated as a government in which citizens have all the power in the government. This is the type of government we have in the United States. We can vote. We elect people to go to Congress and represent us and be our voice. We can hold public office. We can do all kinds of things. So the citizens have all the power in this government. Now, how can we participate in a democracy? Well, voting. That's our main way that we can participate. If we don't like something that a leader is doing, we can vote him out at election time. Voting is both a right and a responsibility. It's a right that is given to us by the Constitution, and it's a responsibility for us to keep our government democratic. We can run for and hold elected office. So if I decided I wanted to be the mayor of Millen, I can run for that office. Or if I decided I wanted to be the sheriff, I could run for that office. They can campaign for candidates that they believe are the best choice for a position. So you see people with Trump signs in their yard, people with Biden signs in their yard. They are campaigning for the person that they believe is the best candidate. And they have the right to choose that candidate because we have multiple political parties. Nobody's making us vote for just one person. We can speak out freely against things we don't like in the government. We're not going to be punished for it. We're protected by the Constitution. So we can say, I don't like what President Trump did on Thursday. I don't like the way Senator so-and-so handled that situation. We have the right to say that. We can say what the government needs to do is, and there's no retribution for us. Nobody's going to come and lock us up because of our opinion. When you look at pictures of a democratic environment, you see people working together. Like in this picture, everybody's getting a say. They're all around the table. They're all getting a say. And then here you see the leader, the little red guy, and he's hand in hand with the people that are working with him. So they are working together to make a difference. That is democracy. Now, some additional information about democracies. The rights of citizens are protected by the Constitution and enforced by the court system. That's what I was saying about if we express our opinion and the president doesn't like it, there's not really much he can do about it. because we have that right in the Constitution. We have that freedom of speech. So we cannot be punished for speaking out against an elected official or an act of the government. That's entirely different from an autocracy. Remember, in an autocracy, you could be jailed, fined, or even killed for speaking out against the government. Now we have a review assignment. I want you to open a Google Doc and answer this question and the one on the next two slides. These will be graded. You have a constructed response. I want you to describe the difference in citizen participation in an autocratic versus a democratic form of government. So tell how citizen participation is different in an autocracy and a democracy. You need to write 4 to 5 complete sentences. Make sure that you provide evidence, examples, or details, and be sure that your information is accurate. Number 2, excuse me. Create a table with 2 rows and 2 columns. Label the 2 columns autocratic and democratic. And include each of the following for both terms: the definition, how citizens participate, examples of countries with that form of government. You need at least 3, and you may use Google. An image that represents that government. Okay. If you have questions about this assignment, send me a message and ask. And finally, I want you to, in the same Google document, I want you to number 1 through 10, and then you mark each of these sentences as A if it applies to an autocracy, or D if it applies to a democracy. You do not have to type the question, you just put 1 is A or D, 2 is A or D, and so on and so forth. If you have any questions, I'm as close as your email. Reach out to me, that's why I'm here. Please let me know if you have questions about this. Looking forward to seeing you and helping you.